Okay, we've got 4.1 seconds of video to review. Let's see how long we can talk about it. Okay, Heng, you obviously spent a lot of time learning how to, or practicing loading. Your left arm works really well. You can put the magazine into the gun very well. But there's some things with your technique that are holding you back, and I want to go through them. And most of it boils down to your stance. So you have what I call a bladed stance. You're very sideways on to the target. My shoulders are more square, my hips are more square, my feet are more side by side. Your feet here are in a line almost to a target in front of you. I want you to have a look at how your body moves and how your body weight's distributed. So if we start looking at this video, you're simulating taking different targets here, and I'm just going to run it backwards and forwards. Now, if you're going to do this in a drill, you need to use real targets, because this scanning left and right isn't something that happens in real life. You'll move to a target and engage it. Now, if I run it back to the beginning again, look when you move left and right, because you're so bladed, it's very difficult for you to move left and right in that stance. And look what happens to the back leg. Because you're so sideways on, in order to turn to the left hand side, your foot needs to rise off the ground. And if you see how much movement's in it, and really your feet should be planted in the ground. The weight when you're shooting, the weight of your body should be in the balls of your feet, and should be evenly distributed between both legs. Here, your left leg is carrying all of your weight. So if we go on to when we start the load, find the point, come on, come on, come on. Okay, I can tell it's coming because your weight's moved. Okay, just watch this here. Now I know you're about to start the load, because as you think about loading it, your body starts going backwards. Like I said, you're well practiced with your left hand. You look the magazine into the gun, it's very good. Remounting with the left hand is good. But you have a difficulty getting the gun back into the shoulder. And if we look at this body weight, in fact there's a thing here, if you look at the white line on the wall behind you, you can just see it. And you have to come all the way forward, lift the back leg off the ground. You actually get an inch taller as well. So you're an inch taller after you load the gun than before you load the gun. So you've come back to engage targets in a completely different position. The gun's canted over as well. You see when it comes back into the shoulder here, that magazine's sticking out, that gun's leaning over. So you can have a different sight picture, different trajectory. Anything that's long distance is going to be off. If you look at the butt and the shoulder, very little of that butt pad is touching your body, and it's on the shoulder and there's nothing behind it. If we also look at the weight, is all on the heel of that front foot. The rear foot's off the ground. In order to engage different targets, you see the movement there as we were going backwards and forwards. And this poses a problem because you're very upright, the gun's very high, it's not held properly in the shoulder, and the recoil is going to being magnified into your shoulder. You have a hard time knocking anything down quickly. And the next thing is, you finish shooting the targets and you want to move. You can't move if you're standing on one leg. So you're going to have to shuffle your feet into a position where they can move again, and you're going to slow yourself down. So really got to work on is changing that stance, getting the weight distributed evenly between the legs, getting the weight on the balls of the toes, getting that stock closer to the center line of your body, bringing your right shoulder forward and your left one back a bit, bringing your hips so that they're square onto the target. The other thing that I noticed, I'm not sure if it's at the end or the beginning, is you're scanning between targets. I know there's no targets there, it's quite obvious, but you're scanning between targets. Half the movement is done with your shoulders and half is done with your hips. Your hips aren't in a position to help you. And all of the movement, 100% of the movement, well, as much as you can, should be with the hips. And the gun is locked into the upper body and nothing moves. So I would... the other thing is, it's very natural for people when they're practicing loading to focus on the left hand and putting the magazine into the gun. And that's a big part of it, yes, but it's not the whole story. Loading is about the time between firing a shot, reloading the gun, and firing the next shot. And within that, you have to make sure that you hit both targets before and after. And here you're going to have a problem because of the way you come back up onto it. I hope that makes sense, and I hope some of that helps.